another episode of The Urban Mystic. I'm Skip Jennings, your spiritual cheerleader here at the Soul Garden. Well, we just went through Pisces and it was about reconnecting with God. That was an amazing, amazing month, amazing energy. But now we're moving into Aries. And although we're still reconnecting with God, because we're always reconnecting with God, but we have an opportunity to be hyper aware. And I use that word is extra aware of the ego. Of the ego. Now I want to start off this talk by telling you the ego is not a bad thing. So get that out of your mind right now. The ego is a good thing. Number one, we were created by God. And we have the ego for a reason. We're going to talk about a little bit more about that later on. But the ego also allows us to do the things that, we might not normally want to do. Like standing in front of a camera and pouring your heart out in front of millions of viewers. That's the ego to help you do that. So we're going to talk about being more aware of the ego in Aries. The first chapter is about understanding the ego. Second chapter, we're going to really dive deep in being extra aware of when the ego pops up versus your consciousness. And then the third chapter is about mastering the ego. Yes. So here's the one thing I want to talk to you about. It's having and understanding what ego really is. You see, at one point in our lives, when man was created, we need the ego. The ego needs to tell us that a dinosaur is coming, you gotta run. Or how about today, when you're walking across the street and you don't know what's going on, and here comes a car and you see it right away and you jump out of the way? That is your ego. It is using it to protect you. We use that ego. It gives us a warning system. It allows us to protect ourselves. So now what has the ego done? It's now expanded itself. It expanded itself through us. See, we have two consciousnesses. I really believe this. That we have our human consciousness, which is dive deep into the ego, and then we have our God consciousness. And I think God consciousness is our expansive self. Our ego consciousness is our little self. It's our tiny self. And it's just as important. We have to understand that. But what we want to do with ego is we want to have what we call a right size ego. So I have four keywords I want to talk to you about in this chapter. And the first keyword is ego. Understanding right size ego versus God consciousness. What do we want to be leading us through our path? We want our God consciousness because our ego will tell us to take sides, to cause a fight, to be angry. Our ego loves to be angry. Our ego, what Eckhart Tolle talks about, is part of the pain body. It feeds off of us feeling depressed or feeling angry or feeling hurt or feeling disappointed. The ego builds on that. And we go to those feelings and we use those feelings, and the ego will use those feelings and say, well, you don't need them anyway. You're better than that anyway. You're stronger than that anyway. And it's the ego protecting our feelings, protecting our emotions. But it's okay. Because remember this, you are not your emotions. They're just messages. So understand what the ego is really doing there. It's keeping us detached. And that's the second word I want to talk to you about. When we dive into the ego, when we allow the ego to be bigger than what it really should be, is we want to detach. We want to separate. We want to stand alone, and we want to stand above or even stand below. We don't want to recognize what we talked about last chapters or last month was our oneness, our reconnection with God, our unity. Ego says detach, be bigger or be smaller. Next word I want to talk to you about, very important word for me right here, is personality. I think our ego gives us our personality. And again, I'm going to go back to what we said in the beginning. It's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. God gave us our ego for a reason. But our ego will mold our personality. And we'll begin to live off that personality. And understanding, identifying with that maybe facade or that false image or that false God that we've created through the ego. But how about tapping to a God personality? How about standing for God? Oneness, love, joy, compassion, unity, abundance. See, that is, the ego will tell us, oh, you are a star, or you're an actor, or you're a dancer, or you're this, or you're that, or you're a businessman. But God says, no, you are united with all these creative, wonderful, lovely expressions. Here's the last key word I want to talk to you about. It's called appearance. I use the ego a lot. I love to look good, and there's nothing wrong with looking good. But we have to understand that all this is the outside. It doesn't really matter if we're not working on the inside. If we are got that wonderful body, but we're poisoned inside and we're dying, it means nothing. How many people do you look like on the outside? They have it all, but inside they're dying. Appearances. The ego will keep you right in that space and not wanting to grow. So we're not getting rid of the ego, but we're having a right-sized ego. Allow it to help you to do things like stand in front of a camera. But no, God consciousness is our personality. So here's your 7-day challenge. For the next 7 days, I just want you to be aware. Be aware when the ego is getting in the way of God. When your ego is getting in the way of you tapping into those God qualities I always write about in my blogs. Knowing when the ego is telling you that you're bigger or smaller than what you should be. Be aware. Awareness is the first step to transformation. So here's your 7-day challenge. Here we go. My ego is not my life. Say it again. My ego is not my life. I'm going to say it one more time, and I'm going to give you a little bit more. My ego is not my life. My life is God. There you go. And that's the truth. That's the truth. So my friends, thank you for hanging out in Aries. I know this is going to be a tough time about work and transformation, but it's going to be worth it. When we get out of Aries, man, do the work now, and we will reap the glory on the other side. Remember, I can help you through that journey. I can help you through and process the stuff that you're holding on to, that you're trying to get rid of out of your life. Allow me to help you. I'm a spiritual counselor. I'm a spiritual coach. So allow me to help you through it. Remember, come to Soul Garden, tap on the reading section, and you'll be able to see profiles of different practitioners that might help you. So remember, you are love, you are light, you are compassion, you are joy, you are the qualities of God. I'm here to tell you that, to remind you of that. So until next time, I'm Skip Jennings. So